The fourth issue, which is that Baptist missionary work has declined, and the faith has seemingly got on the defensive in the face of its population decline. Without serious efforts to grow their population, be it through increased natalism or missionary work to regain ground in urban and border areas, outside forces will begin to encroach on the Baptist South, diminishing the civilization's ability to enforce its order through its primary strength of social solidarity. In essence, it does not matter if the Southern Baptist Church ostracizes outsiders if those outsiders can establish a large enough support base for themselves. If you have enough outsiders coming to or arising from a traditionally Southern Baptist-controlled area, you will see rapid domination by groups who, unlike the Baptists, are very willing to use government power to enrich their own group at the expense of the Baptists, and politically enforce their own practices. In regard to secular groups, this might include legalization of abortion or promotion of LGBT ideas in public schools, things traditionally opposed by Southern Baptists, but which they'd be unable to stop if they lost local government power to a more ideological and active population, even if such a population was merely a large minority of some 30%. Even other Christian groups like Catholics who are far more centralized would be able to displace Baptists if they were to arrive in traditionally Baptist areas in large number. Because of this, secularization and immigration, particularly from Catholic Latin American countries, stand as the biggest threats to the Baptist civilization. Rising racial tensions within the U.S. might also create additional clashes between the majority white Southern Baptists and the National or Black Baptists, as their populations occupy many of the same states, and though the possibility of cooperation also exists, the tendency of some 90% of American blacks to support traditionally pro-secular and big government Democrat policy, in spite of nearly half of American blacks identifying as Baptist and a majority holding conservative social and religious views, suggests that racial and economic policy hold greater importance to Black Baptists than observance of Baptist solidarity and historic rejection of top-down government power. And further, while the National Baptist Convention is also facing a population fall, it does not appear to be as significant as the fall of the Southern Baptist Convention. Additionally, more charismatic and spiritual movements such as Pentecostalism have begun gaining traction in the South, and given their decentralized nature, have drawn in former Baptists into their ranks. Though that being said, the more decentralized nature of Pentecostalism might make it a source of future Baptist converts, given the dominance of Baptist culture in the South and the more organized nature of the Southern Baptist Convention. Now, despite all of this, it seems highly probable that the Baptist civilization of the southeastern United States will endure, even if it experiences a receding of its territory over the next several decades. The faith and greater Southern Baptist culture is deeply rooted in the region and stands as perhaps the most enduring large multi-state American subculture, despite bearing one of the most turbulent histories in the entire U.S. As we've already said, these are a people with a unique history, way of life, means of governing, and spiritual vigor, albeit one in need of revitalization in the wake of this depression it's currently facing. Southern Baptists as a church and as a culture will encounter significant challenges in the years ahead, which will determine whether they remain the dominant force in the Southeast or if they're reduced to a fraction of their former size, likely concentrated along the mountains of Appalachia. The Baptist civilization has long seen its political influence at the national level, once the dominant force during the ages of Jefferson and Jackson, reduced to a secondary influence, but that influence remained strong at the local level, and for the Baptists, that was enough. But now that local power will be challenged, and Baptist fervor will once again need to be reignited if it is to survive. As the United States experiences further turbulence and undergoes additional changes over the following century, the Southeast will be rocked by these difficulties and tested once again. In the event of an American collapse, it does not at all seem unlikely that Baptist America will emerge as its own polity. It, of course, would not be the first time such a thing occurred, nor would these states be without the agricultural, military, industrial, and logistical resources necessary to sustain and defend themselves from encroachment by rival powers. Though once again, their level of success depends heavily upon whether or not the Baptists rebound within the next decade or two, something which could easily occur as a response to increased government pressure, secularization taking on a more aggressive character, etc. Is Baptist America inevitable? Just about. Given the complexity of emerging religious movements and the shifting power dynamics within the U.S., there is a slight possibility that Baptist America is overwhelmed and subsumed by multiple groups at once within the century. However, in all likelihood, the Baptists, given their history and ethics, will rebound. The U.S. of Z, thanks for watching. Support your Legion by liking the video, or join our ranks by subscribing for more.
What is y'all's thoughts in regards to it all? Oh, Jesus. No. Anyway, what is y'all's thoughts in regards to it all? I could say mine, but not many people likes my thoughts, so... Well, thoughts in regards to such a situation. But I will state this much. If one way of life is better than the other, then I support the change. However, that's if one way of life is better than the other.